Hey everybody, welcome to this show. We don't have a name for it just yet, but we just wanted an opportunity to chat with one another and chat with you and kind of chismes and chat about the show so far, introduce ourselves in maybe a deeper way, maybe, but just kind of hang out with you all, especially now that this episode should be going out closer to the holiday season. So, just chatting around the Yule log with some eggnog and leche flan and fruit salad, and just kind of just chat away. So first, let's just do a quick round of introductions. As always, my name is Ross. I am the game master on Blaze of Mayari, and I think the intro question that we were just chatting about was what is our favorite Filipino dessert? I won't pick the big ones. I'm going to pick something a little bit curveball-y, I guess. I don't think it's my favorite, but it's definitely top
Okay.
5. Yema candy.
Yumma.
Yeah, so Yema can be found in like corner stores, sari stores. The reason why I like it is during Christmas, my mom makes it at home, makes it from scratch. It's essentially like a hard condensed milk candy with peanuts in it. It's usually wrapped in like colorful cellophane. And when you've just made it, it's easy to like peel. And then if you have it for a long time, you have to like scratch the cellophane off of the condensed milk.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah, you got to earn it. I love those. We can clear a bowl, which is not something anyone recommends. But yeah, so that's me. We can go around the table, I guess. So, Mikey, introduce yourself and your favorite dessert.
Hello, I'm Mikey. I'm a player and I play Batara Basa. Well, let's think about it here. I think I have 2. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to decide which one. Okay, I'll just say this one. I like imsemada, but with the ube filling in the inside. It's add that little surprise.
What
What?
the heck?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like more Filipino or like blasphemous.
Yeah.
Does it still have the cheese on top or not?
Yeah, it still has the cheese on top.
It has the cheese.
Yeah, it still has the cheese on top, and then there's
Okay.
there's like a ube jam in the inside. Yeah, so it just hits. It's like a comforting thing. Could be a dessert or just a little treat for merienda. So
Hey, just a note: if you've only ever tried ube from Trader Joe's, some of that is good, some of that is so sweet. Go to like a Filipino store, like a sari store, try out some ube there. Change your life.
Yeah, because the greatest compliment is when something's not too sweet.
Not too sweet, but you're like,
that's
Yeah.
the one. Yeah.
Because it's sweet enough so
Yeah.
I can eat like 5. But if it's too sweet, I'll just eat 1.
But then like Filipino sweet enough is pretty
sweet.
Yeah, for some
Relative.
people. Yeah.
I mean, we're all kind of diabetic, so
Well, you know what? I tried, like, I think Superstore recently, which is like a grocery here in Canada. They've tried to go on this whole Filipino, like taste test.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
They've got a lot of Asian
They've got
stuff.
some good
yeah.
stuff, but the ube one was not. I was not fond of this ube taro
Not good.
Oh, I think I saw that.
pie thing that
Yeah.
they did. It tasted kind of funky.
How about Ren? How about you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Ren. My pronouns are she, they. I play Aether of the Blue Maw in our fun little podcast game. Talking about desserts, guys, I bleed sugar.
Oh,
I feel like if you had to make me pick, like maybe like a party one, I'd say like leche flan or
Yeah.
fruit salad, but it has to have like the cheese in it.
The cheese.
So
yeah.
fruit salad in the cheese. Cheese in the fruit salad. Like
Yeah.
cubes of cheese. Yeah. Yeah.
And if y'all are thinking that a Filipino fruit salad is similar to some of the other fruit salads you've had before, it's not. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
It's very creamy.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things in there that you think shouldn't be in a fruit salad, but they somehow work together.
Yeah, there's a Filipino taste profile, the sweet and salty. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sweet and salty. That's like
Yeah.
really popular.
yeah.
So
Cheese
makes
is always
sense.
a controversial thing in our
True.
culture. It's like, do you put cheese on it or not? And it's like it tears families apart.
Well, there's like the queso flavored ice
Ice
cream.
cream?
Oh yeah.
That's like hit and miss. It's a miss for me.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm gonna make a bold statement and say that you could put cheese on maybe 99% of things and it'll make it taste better.
Wow. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Actually, I like.
I mean, I don't know if that's controversial.
It's bold. He said a
like
bold
that.
statement, not a.
So some people are like, "Oh,
okay.
Maybe.
would
yeah.
you put cheese on cereal?" And I'm
Maybe.
like, "Yeah,
Some cereals
that would be
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Give it a try."
Like dry. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
some
might
cereals.
be really weird, but like it's actually really good. Frosted Flakes with cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese. See, that's the
Yeah, that's what I'm
thing.
saying,
Cottage
right?
cheese goes so well with a lot of dessert stuff.
Right?
So
Cottage cheese, ricotta.
yeah.
It's just
whatever,
edible
right?
clouds.
Yeah.
Like-
I'll take the mic next then. Hello everyone. My name is Kevin Suloxon. He him pronouns. I play Tanso Dog. Dog is his nickname. And I think my favorite Filipino dessert, I don't know, there's so many. I was taking inventory while everyone was talking, and it's like, what do I say? That I'm not satisfied with what I'll end up saying. But I'm gonna go another curveball here and maybe say mais con hielo, which is like
I was thinking that one. I was thinking that was my second one actually. So yeah, it's a good one.
Actually,
so big
yeah.
like Filipino dessert is halo halo, which just literally means like mix, which is like a shaved ice dessert with condensed milk and a bunch of other stuff. Mais con hielo is like the simplified kid version of that, in my opinion, because it's just like it's the shaved ice, condensed milk or evaporated milk, and then like sugar and corn, and that's all it is. So it's like
It's a banger.
I don't
It's
know.
like the best summer treat, to be honest.
yeah.
I like that there's a kid version of Halo Halo, which is like the most colorful, most sugary,
Even more kid. But that one will have like
green,
Yeah.
green
red
beans.
bean,
Yeah,
ube
yeah,
ice
yeah.
cream.
Coconut shavings.
It'll have like a stico like inside. Like that's
Too
a little
much.
too complex for me. It's just like the corn is so good.
Fair, fair.
Too much mix.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want beans.
Kevin reminded me, so let's just kind of quickly go back and go around. Ross here again. My pronouns are he, him. Mikey, what are yours?
Yes, my pronouns are he, him as well.
And Ren?
Oh, my pronouns are she, they.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Hey, does anyone like the avocado
Oh, the one with
smoothie?
the
Yeah.
condensed milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
Yes. Immediately,
That
yes.
one's-
Yeah, with the condensed milk.
Yes.
yeah,
Condensed
that
milk, oat
one's
milk,
okay.
whatever milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ice, shaved ice, crushed ice. Sorry.
I
Like, no one can fight me on
I
this.
talked about it with my wife when we were like first dating, and she's like, "I've never had avocado sweet," and in my head, I'm like, "I've only ever had avocado sweet." The whole
Yeah.
avocado on scrambled eggs and stuff. I was like, "What is this?" So it
Oh
was.
my god.
Oh my gosh, avocado toast being like very like that's
Mm.
controversial at
Oh,
first.
salty
Yeah.
avocados.
To like my Filipino
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, salty
bud
avocado.
thing. I'm like,
what the-
excuse me.
My wife does avocado toast, but condensed milk in the morning.
I mean-
with condensed milk on top. That's a
A little bit of both. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
the best.
That's
with,
what she
like,
does. She
That would be good.
with like Texas toast, so it's like really thick, and then
yeah, like a thicker
yeah.
toast. Yeah. She likes doing that. That's like her thing in the morning. I was like, nice. I don't do that, but
Nice,
but it
nice.
probably tastes good.
Yeah.
You know?
Mikey's
So,
like nice. Batara's like, yeah.
Yeah. More condensed milk.
more condensed milk and sugar. Both. Do you want both?
Okay, it's me. It's a me, TJ, the noise witch, who also plays everyone's unfriendly, hangry, half
But friendly.
unfriendly but friendly,
Fairly friendly.
friendly, hangry, half aswang.
I like her.
You're biased. Y'all are biased. Y'all are biased because I don't eat you.
Yeah, that's,
You also save our lives.
That's true.
yeah.
But sorry, what's your character's name? I don't think you got to it.
Hiraya, the hangry half aswang. Pronouns are any and all. And my
Mhm.
favorite Filipino dessert is the one that feels most like a meal, cassava cake.
Yeah,
Mm.
I didn't want to say that, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's up there, man.
Why you
Yeah.
don't want to say it? You
Because
just gotta
I
say
had to
it. Say
do
it with
the-
your chest.
I had to diversify. I knew that like we had to go across the board. There's too many to.
Cassava cake is not a basic B though. Like she really does the most. Cassava cake can be hot, can be cold, can be hard, can be soft, can have cheese, can have brown sugar on top.
And then depending on the tita, it can be bad.
Exactly.
Like really bad, and you're like,
Sorry,
oh my-
tita or tito.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
both will be in the kitchen.
Right.
But some of the family recipes aren't great.
It's
but
true. But it's
Yeah.
built like a protein bar, I swear. Because
Yeah,
every
for
holiday
real.
season, a cassava cake hits that table, and I don't care whose it is, but that shit's gonna last me weeks. I'm
Totally.
gonna freeze half of it. I'm gonna chop it up into little cubes. I'm like, that thing's gonna keep me going. I'll have a meal the next day. I'm gonna eat cassava cake.
Yeah, I have it for breakfast. Like, because it's so
Yeah.
like it's so dense.
yeah.
My mom makes it with like a little bit of like this vanilla topping on top.
Mm.
Yeah, recommend. It's really
See the
really good.
variety.
Yeah. Versatility.
What's your flavor?
She versatile.
Also,
she
like
flexible.
when else are people eating cassava? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
Oh my
What
god.
else has
I know it's more
cassava.
common like South American dishes and more Latin
Right.
dishes.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like,
No, it's
yeah,
also
I-
used in African dishes as well. But
Yeah, African dishes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I've had it in Vietnamese
Oh, really?
dishes as well.
well, forgive
Yeah.
me. Cassava's everywhere, apparently, guys.
But
Get
for
out here.
us,
Uncultured.
Filipinos,
Cultured swine.
cassava's a sweet tea, okay?
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
sweet tea.
Yeah, she's definitely
She's not this savory,
No.
salty
like staple.
little lady.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
we put sugar in everything, guys.
Yeah. One of my earliest like memories of like a snack that we had for merienda was my mom getting pandesal, which is kind of a soft brioche
I know where
bun,
this is going.
and then just put butter and sugar in it, and
Yeah.
that's like your after school
Bread, butter, and sugar.
snack.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, especially now that I have a daughter, I'm like, man,
No.
times were tough. Times were tough. But I appreciate it. I love it. I was fed and taken care of, and now I have to watch my sugar.
But there's also like days where you're just like, man, a bread, butter, and sugar would be
Like really
great
good,
right
yeah.
now with
And
the
then you dip it in the
coffee.
coffee. Oh man, good gracious! When everyone is like, "Oh, put butter in your coffee," I'm like, man, we've been doing that since forever.
Accidentally.
You just put sugar in it
Just
too.
naturally.
Like, oopsie.
Yeah. Cool. So, as you might have guessed, this is not a podcast about Filipino food, but rather we are the cast of Blades of Mayari, which, for those who may not know, is a fantasy actual play podcast based on pre-colonial Filipino mythology. Maybe to start, I can talk a little bit about how this idea came together. I had kind of cobbled together an idea and excitement for this years ago now. Weird to think of. But it was just like kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and I was delirious with not enough sleep with a new baby. And I was like, this is a cool idea. And then very specifically, a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition supplement called the Islands of Sinauna came out. And it blew my mind. I was able to talk to Lucia at Seer Sword there, and it just really like solidified how much love and passion and care was put into this book, how much research from kind of in the Philippines as well as here out in North America. And I thought no one else is going to make something. All right, if you want something in the world, you have to be it, right? So started to cobble together that idea and that excitement, started to reach out to a few folks to garner interest. And then you might have noticed, if you've listened to the episodes, we don't run Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, primarily because of some shenanigans early this year, and kind of moved away from it, mostly because it doesn't really translate all too well in an audio format. So we went with a more narrative focused game, which is Fate Core, and then kind of brought on some new folks, and the cast kind of changed a little bit over the last few years. But yeah, that's in a nutshell what the history of the show so far. But I was really curious, like when I asked you folks to join the show, like what was your thought process? What made you like want to be part of this project?
Well, I just when I saw the message about it, I just like playing games, to be honest. And this one's more. This is a game, a type of game I haven't played before, I guess, if anything. And the fact that it has a influence from like our culture, like the Philippines, and some ideas and like stories from mythology. That interests me very much, and yeah, and meeting new people. So it's like just a whole aspect of playing a new game and being in like a universe together with new people, and yeah, it's exciting. That's what got me hooked to it. So thanks for having me on.
Aw.
My life has changed.
Yeah, for me, I mean, similar reasons to Mikey. I know he's new to like tabletop RPGs. I am also new to tabletop RPGs, and I've always been interested, like being somebody who enjoyed video games and board games and comic books and fantasy and just all of those, kind of geeky and nerdy pop culture things, superheroes and all of that, and adventuring. So like, I don't know, like TTRPGs like feel very much like in that lane of what I enjoy in life. And so it was always just like a bit of a shame, in my opinion, that I just had never really had a sort of like natural in to that world or to that kind of medium. So I mean, that was kind of the first thing that drew me in, was like, oh, this is a chance to kind of expose myself to kind of type of gameplay that I'd never done but always been interested in. And then yeah, the project or the campaign being specifically inspired by like pre-colonial Filipino mythology was just something that kind of also touched on, and maybe I'm sure a lot of us have felt this way being from Canada, or like I was born and raised in Canada, and so there's always been this sort of like, well, yeah, I'm Filipino because my parents are Filipino and they're from the Philippines and immigrated here, but there's also this like identifying as like Canadian, and a lot of the times that takes precedence over the identifying as Filipino. So it's just this kind of interesting duality that I think a lot of us or all of us live with. And so for this opportunity or this project to be inspired by, like, it's not pre-colonial Canadian mythology that although that would be really cool, but yeah, because of it's inspired by Filipino mythology, that is like really got me excited and still gets me excited about even just learning about the different weird monsters and creatures that exist and the lore that's there. Yeah, I don't know, and it feels really appropriate at a time in my life where yeah, I don't know, trying to recapture isn't the right word, but I think just trying to have another way into this culture of ours. So yeah, very appreciative for that. Yeah, that's me. What about someone else?
I guess for me, one of the things that really drew me into it was like recently I only started playing D&D with another group. So I'm also kind of very new to this whole tabletop role-playing game scene, and it was something like everyone has said that I was curious about before but never really had the chance to. Being Filipino, one of the things that was like, oh, you go to church, and in church it was like not really encouraged in our part to participate in that kind of scene. Even like for our church, like Harry Potter was not even a good like thing to talk about. So it was very like, oh, like nobody touched D&D ever because it talks about like demons and monsters and stuff like that. And I only started playing it this year when a friend of mine invited me, and I was actually very surprised because Kevin was the one who actually invited me to the group.
What?
And yeah, like we've kind of crossed paths here and there. We were in the same dance studio, but I never was really apart. Like we ran in different circles growing up, and it was very surprising for me to be like, oh, like this is an interesting way to kind of break out of my box, but still like have something in common with the people that I've kind of known for a very long time. So yeah, I took a chance, and it's been super fun and very enjoyable. And just getting to know everybody through their characters, I think, is really kind of something you'd never see anywhere else, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely been a special experience. I'm trying to excavate my memories as to when we first started talking, Ross.
Yeah, that was a long time. 2 years ago.
Yonder.
Yeah.
In the old days.
In the olden days.
In the olden times.
Also, can we just comment on TJ's microphone situation?
Yes,
I feel
please.
like
Big as your face.
I ignored it. I know it's a visual or it's a auditory medium, but TJ, do you want to describe the microphone that you've got there?
Listen. This is listen.
There we go. That's the one. That's
Of course I have to do this. I have a handheld mic to honor the
That's true.
ancestors. And definitely not because my other mic situations were cursed.
Yeah.
I tried other mic setups and they were cursed. And I think the ancestors were like, no, we're just going to mess with your technology and
Yeah,
you
cursed.
have to
Yeah.
use a handheld mic.
You
entire
had like
time.
the best tech by far, and it was just like.
And you know what?
Yeah.
That's it. Now the rest of my life, this is going to be my accessory.
Yeah.
I will get rid of the rest of my mics and it's just handheld for now because karaoke is life.
It's like a triple scoop.
yeah.
of ice
The
Yes.
cream.
top is
Look at
pretty
that.
like
The top
big.
is very
It's like
large.
a Marge Simpson's hair, you know?
Yeah,
It's
large and in charge. It's like
Yeah.
Marge hair on top and just like a very thin, sleek ice cream cone in the
Yeah.
bottom.
Great.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. We love it.
What was the question?
Your thoughts when you first joined? Why?
Oh, right.
Why join the
Yonder.
show. Yeah.
In the before times, back in 1921, when me and Ross first met, here's a fun story. So I'm in Toronto, and the rest of y'all are on the other side of this turtle island.
Woo woo.
Yeah, Toronto! And I actually heard about this project through the ethers of the internet.
What?
Through Filipino community.
Cool.
And so that's a nice little statement of how powerful the internet can be for us diasporic folk. Because throughout the pandemic, when everything got shut down and we were all left to our own devices indoors, and one of the really beautiful things that came out of the pandemic, that came out of the lockdown specifically, was that I met the most Filipino people in my, aside from the family, like I have a giant Filipino family, but aside from knowing family members, the pandemic was actually the largest influx of me just meeting Filipino people and making Filipino friends like online, which was wild. Like I had met friends and made friends with people in like New York, Brooklyn, and Australia, even in the Philippines. And fast forward now, y'all, special magical people. So I found out about this project through a friend of a friend.
Yeah, so
a mutual friend.
It was originally an original cast member, just part of the community that you were part of, and then it got passed over to you, and then we connected through Gmail and chatted and kind of went from there.
And then when we met, my first impressions were like, wow, someone I can geek out about pre-colonial Filipino mythology with.
Yeah, I think that's what was really interesting, because like when I shopped around the idea, people really resonated with the thought of like, oh, we had mythology, we had stories before we were colonized, and what does that mean? And I know with like the diasporic community, we can have a tendency to like really hook on to or be fascinated by pre-colonial times and potentially put it up on a pedestal. So that's definitely something that I was experiencing, and the more I learned about it, the more I learned about the culture and the times and the stories, the more it made me want to know about what's going on in the Philippines right now, and to like be connected there, and to read about news there, and read perspectives from people back home. So I think what's really cool is that by looking into the past, it's been a motivation to like connect with now and to dream about the future. So in like our own little way, we're rolling silly dice and talking about like it's not really like the the most groundbreaking work that's going on in regards to decolonization or human rights efforts in the Philippines, or environmental efforts in the Philippines, which are like notable and needed and necessary. Like, but hopefully we're playing a little bit of our part to bring a light to Filipino culture and community, and to dream in the space and in the world and in the imagination of our ancestors. Like, that's cool, man. It's something I am super stoked that we have all of you here to try and do together, because it's like it's audacious, right? It requires like a level of like tenacity to be like, oh yeah, I don't need to dream in European fairy tales or like in Greco-Roman pantheons. I can dream in the same kind of ways and colors and shapes and sizes as my ancestors did. Like, that's cool. We can give it a try. We won't always hit, but we'll try, right? We just came out of a session, so I'm running a little, starting to run a little low on steam. But I think I wanted to. We'll do more of these for sure. But I did have a question about like your characters. Like, what's been the most surprising thing in the games that we've played so far? It's been a lot of like character building and like exploring our characters, putting them in like uncomfortable situations, both physically and socially. And then finally we're on this like mysterious island that has caused so much like destruction. What's been like something that drew you to this character, and what is something that has been surprising as like you've played them so far?
Okay, I can jump in. So some context is that in a previous iteration of the game, of the show, I had a very different character planned. I had a more like lighthearted, jovial character. And then the character that I play right now is Hiraya, which started off as like this very cold and more serious character in conception, who is half Aswang, who's got a chip on their shoulders, super moody. Think like Prince Zuko before redemption arc from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, like a little splash of that. But then it's really funny that when you get into gameplay, nothing beats actually experiencing your character development and seeing how, like, when you're sitting in that perspective, how your character would respond to things.
I feel that.
So for me, it's been really surprising to see like actually the choices and the obstacles that come about, and what instinctively from that perspective of a half Aswang who quite frankly doesn't have really great physical skills and is just really good at lying and stealing things. And I feel like the immediate instinct is always just to go into Aswang mode and like fly. And it has been very challenging, but also very interesting to see how to navigate a character that seems really cool at first to play, but it is challenging. It's like, how do you deal with the layers that we've kind of built for ourselves when we write these really cool characters and then have to like figure our way out of things.
Yeah, my favorite thing so far about Hiraya is what you said. Like when shit hits the fan, she turns a swang. Like she wings are out, and then she really relies on it, or they really rely on it. Whereas like her human side isn't the escape mechanism, isn't the strength. It's the swang side. So I'm super curious if that will ever flip, where Hiraya will realize her human side is actually where the strength is in this situation. But yeah, it's
so
interesting.
Poetic.
It's super interesting. Yeah.
Let's see.
I think a lot about your characters.
Also, like, quick question about Hiraya. Like, do we know? Have you told us, or are we just kind of like assuming what we think is what we saw? You know, or are we just kind of like saying this, being like, she's probably some kind of spirit thing, and I'm okay with that? Or did you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember being explicitly told, but I mean, it's hard to not see what we saw on the
I
island.
mean, it's kind of hard not to assume.
Are we just all like collectively being like, yeah, that's a secret. Nobody really needs to know anything about that.
Well, I know off the table or above the table. I don't know the term, but I remember we talked about it. Like TJ, you mentioned like, you know, at least within the four of us, like we know, but like, you know, you continue to kind of like lie and tiptoe around. So I think like we're kind of in on the secret, even if it's not like we don't know the full or like every little detail or exactly, you know, explicitly what it is the deal with Hiraya. But I think at least the three of us are in on something.
I would like to think like it's like when she's ready to show her true colors, she will show her true colors. It's like she can show her true power when she wants to, or she will let the other side out. You know. It's like when you be comfortable with a friend, basically, right? So
it's like that vibe of like that one cousin in your family that is like always getting up to no good, but like no one snitches.
Yeah, fair, yeah.
Don't say nothing. The adults ask. You're like, I don't know.
We know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we kind of respect that. Yeah. It's not our story to tell.
What I do love about that, though, it does show like a lot of the empathy of everyone's characters as a whole, like the whole team's characters, because this could have gone any direction. Where, you know, like any character had the right to also freak out. Or
I was actually expecting that. So like we have a Aether is a warrior trained by the spirits to fight stuff. But you know, you can make an extrapolation to be like, oh yeah, Aether probably knows how to hunt a swang. Like it's probably maybe like a reasonable assumption to make, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah, I think in Aether's point of view, though, Hiraya is not causing any problems for him and his island.
Yeah, fair.
So in his head, he's like, that's not my problem. Like as long as it's not directed towards me and or my island, they can choose to exist however they want to.
Fair. Yeah. Very like druid circle. Not in my forest. I don't care.
And I've like to add to that, I think Aether's character development took the opposite direction of Hiraya's. I think because when I originally wrote Aether, he was supposed to be like, you know, hardened by battle, nothing really surprised him. Like just a really stoic, maybe kind of emo 20-something-year-old kid. But like as soon as we started playing, I'm like, well, this kid got like slapped in his face by a potential humanity in him, especially being stuck on the island. And like kind of finding out that the spirits, I guess, do not react to him in the same way as they did at home.
Yeah, like little fish in a big ocean.
Yeah. And so I think for him, he kind of did the opposite of what I thought he would be like. Like I thought he would be like someone who's super hardened, didn't care about the mortals whatsoever, because that's what he was trained to do and what he was trained to believe. But as soon as he was like out of that pond, right, he's like, oh, it's very different out here than it was in my island.
Totally. I think that's what's so fascinating, because it's like we talked about Aether as like an alien. So that feels very in line with that, where like it's the first time that's happened to me, right? Like I'm mad or I feel things, and that's great. That's awesome.
And I kind of like how Robinson reins him in.
Yeah. So Robinson is the snake spirit friend.
Yes, he's my little brother snake friend.
Mm-hmm.
And there's part of Aether that is basically like, oh, like mortal rules don't apply to me, or I don't really care about what mortals do. But it's kind of that, interestingly enough, this spirit that's reeling him in more to his humanity side.
Mm-hmm.
I think is nice. And I'm pretty sure, like from my point of view, Robinson has no idea he's doing it.
Just wants to be a good brother. Yeah.
Can we have a moment of appreciation of how Ross just turns into Robinson?
Yes, please.
Because we never introduced at the beginning of the episodes that it's like, we're saying like, hi, I'm TJ. I voice Hiraya. Hi, this is Ross. Voices literally everyone else. Including the cute ass Robinson.
I thank you. I do my best. There's everybody out there who's listening that's a game master and dungeon master and does silly voices for their kids while they're reading stories to them. I feel you. Solidarity. Like I know how hard it is.
Do you practice your voices?
Yeah, it's like the running gag that you go to the bathroom and like practice. I think it's fun because they're there. I think that some people like, it depends on your acting philosophy, but like for me, it's like they're there. I just need to find them. So sometimes it takes some tweaking, but
within you lies a very cute snake. Little snake baby.
Yeah, I even in Dungeons and Dragons, I love playing cinnamon rolls, like just like the sweetest people. So Robinson was like, oh yeah, yay, I get to like be that guy.
The cinnamon roll, but can kill you if he tried.
Because like Robinson hasn't really tested out his etherealness yet, but if he went into you and bit your heart, you're dead. I don't know. Robinson's fun. He's such a sweet little boy.
The thing with Aether and Robinson, and this is probably like something to explore later on, is that Aether has no wariness about the fact that he's attached to this ethereal snake thing. So that's like something he's never explored or ever even questioned. He just knows that they are one person.
Which I think is a nice metaphor, right? Like this is what your family looks like, and you have no idea that, or like this is just your family, right? And I think that's a really cool thing to show. How about you, Kev? Any thoughts on Dog?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Something that I've learned or realized about Dog and playing Dog is that nowadays in my life, I've never been in my real life, I've never been as introverted as I am now, like ever in my life. Mm-hmm, and so I think playing Dog has like glimpses of like a younger version of me, one that was a lot more extroverted, a lot more keen to take initiative in just about like in any setting, social setting, or so I think it's really interesting how playing Dog now in my life, again at a time where I've never been more introverted, as like it's like, oh, I'm kind of like, as we kind of play, I've been like going up against this like natural inclination for me to kind of just like defer to others. But then I feel this friction of like, oh, I think like the character though would be the one to kind of speak up, or the character like Dog would be the one to say something. And often at times, and I think this is part of the character, with like the aspect being like I never make mistakes, is just like, oh, like you just kind of start, and then it's like that whole Michael Scott quote of like, sometimes I like start a sentence not knowing like where it's gonna go, I hope I figure it out along like that kind of thing. I'm paraphrasing, but so I've felt that while playing Dog, where it's like, oh, Dog would probably be the one to initiate and start things, but then not necessarily have a plan for exactly what he's trying to do or where he's trying to go. So that's kind of been interesting, the sort of like combating my own natural introversion with a character that is, I think, surprisingly a lot more extroverted than I initially, like on paper, creating him would have realized. But
he's just very like swashbuckling, you know, like, you know, on the table in the front, you know, waving the sword around. Like, I think that.
Yeah. So it's also been fun to just like course correct in light of things where it's like, oh, things didn't go right. Then that kind of creates problems for us to solve narratively. So then it's that's good. You always need those kind of people.
The person that does that the most is definitely Mickee. It's like, oh yeah, let's just do it this way. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it's like that's a nice tandem as well. Batara and Dog for sure.
Which is hilarious. It's hilarious though, because Batara is like the most like thick boy, like strong, and then just chooses the most wholesome things to do.
Like stuffing adobo down the zombie's mouth to keep it occupied.
Yeah.
Like, I would have just thrown that. You could throw two of them probably. You could just punch
him, but okay.
I mean,
yeah, I guess the way I play Batara, I would have to say I put a lot of my like weird thinking, like this is it's basically an amped up, like super amped up version of myself, I would say. Like
that's accurate.
Some things that I would want to have. Honestly, I say I can cook, but I don't think I'm as good of a cook that I would want to still gain that skill. I like to try different things that don't make sense and make it work. I'm kind of one of those people that I want to be not afraid to make mistakes kind of thing and just try it, because trying something that a path less traveled brings out more interesting outcome or something that may be helpful in the future, like kind of thing. So like, although it may be some like detrimental to like making a so-called mistake, but it's like always learning. Like I guess because I've been like also like a teacher too, so I always encourage like my students to just try it, because everyone's so afraid of like failing or trying something different. And that comes like, I guess, with the character as well, like just wanting to, I guess, uplift people through I guess trying something different and just like trying to care and give people courage to try like something, you know, try something, because you never know, right? Yeah, believing in yourself, like kind of like just not being afraid to make a choice, because it's just part of being like making yourself, like it's part of your DNA basically, kind of thing. Like people need to like try things.
Totally. Do you feel like, especially with Batara, do you feel like that's because his character had died already? Like he's come back to life. This is his second kind of time around the sun. Like, do you think that kind of plays into that experimental kind of nature?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's like when you watch those movies, if you had the chance to do it again, like would you, you know, be as reserved, right? Like, what if something happens, right? You got to do it, right? And same with like the past sense, like he does tune in like with glimpses, maybe more in the future, but like family is a big thing, and it still ties in, like, you know, taking stuff from your past and like thinking about the family and just respecting of what has happened there and what you bring to now is something that kind of I myself still do in like real life, and also it plays into my character as well. So, and just being appreciative of like the people around you, because like, again, understanding like everyone has a different certain skill, whether they don't believe it or not. It's just like really trying to help people kind of believe it and like enjoy, like, I don't know, it's like you could see us as misfits, or you could see each of us with special skills and talents, and that's what I kind of how I play this kind of thing. Yes, I prefer without like just seeing them as like really cool people to be around. So that's how I kind of play the thing, right? So because I could be so scared of Hiraya, right? But she's just so cool instead. You know what I mean?
Kev, when you were talking about Dog and how he's kind of like you trying to get back to like a younger version of you, it brought up a core memory for me of you. And if you are okay with it, I would like to share this core memory with everybody.
What core memory?
Yeah, I feel like you have to because I don't even know.
I'm gonna make a executive decision that if this is no go, I can edit. I'm gonna cut this whole part out. Okay, cool.
Okay,
Just feel free to share.
Yeah,
We'll
that's why I just want to be sure that
You're
everyone's
opening
okay
the
with
bag
it.
of chips. Let's go.
When I first moved to Canada, because I am from the Philippines, my very first experience of Halloween was with my cousin here, the Domingos here in Canada, and Kevin's family.
Mm-hmm.
And from my cousin's house, there is a playground that we used to go to, which was like the elementary school that was nearby. And we played The Floor is Lava. And it was the first time I've ever played this game. I didn't know how to play it. So just one of the first things I remember of coming to Canada was Kevin jumping onto the top of the slide and just stretching his arms up in the sky, and he slips off the top of it.
Sounds right. Yeah.
And just plants himself onto the ground. But he didn't cry. He didn't get mad. He was just so happy and so excited to have just been in this
that
moment.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the day Dog was born. That dog. Yeah, you got that dog.
Yeah.
And that was like one of my first core memories of Kevin.
Oh, that's so funny. I don't remember that, and that's probably because in that story I fell off a slide.
You fell. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
Kevin and I are like childhood friends, so I can definitely say like, yeah, I agree. Dog is like a younger version. Like, if younger Kevin is out there, then everyone will kind of know. So, and he'll be doing his stunts or whatever. Like, yeah, you'll know Kevin's there.
Yeah.
That gives me. I would love to ask a question to all y'all, because we're kind of already on the topic, but in what way do you personally relate to your character?
I already spoke, so I'm going to let everybody else and the others.
No, I want you to speak. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I'll just like add a little bit more because I think for me, I basically said like it is an amped up version of myself. Yeah, how I relate is basically just trying to like wanting to, because I'm gonna be a dad soon, so I want to like take care of people and like and
Yay.
I want to yeah, I'm excited about that. So I want to like basically try to get the best like get like, what am I trying to say? I'm not. Yeah, I have a lot of like thoughts in my mind by gathering it all together. But I want to be able to like tell my child to like be open to like making mistakes and just being yourself and meeting people and seeing good in people. So that's basically what I really try to bring out here. You know, it's another, I guess, outlet.
It's a practice run. He's just practicing.
Batara
for
is
run. That's all this is to him.
Practice dad.
Yeah, doing his best, best in their own way.
I think it's really cool because like this idea of you wanting to, your like nesting instincts start kicking in, like to protect others and stuff. But then when you in episode 3, when you all went to the island and Batara ran, right? Like you couldn't protect everybody, and your instinct was like, I need to keep myself safe. And it's like that's so interesting because like, you know, being a protector, I don't know, it was always ingrained in me to like sacrifice yourself to, you know, if your family's cold, take off your jacket or whatever. But like I thought it was really cool because it seemed like a growth or a change from who Batara was in his previous life, which he probably, I don't know, we don't know what happened, but like it's safe to say maybe he made some sacrifices that he might regret, and it's like showing up in this life. I don't know. I think what you were saying was like super cool when you start to think about how Batara has acted in the last few episodes.
There's like so many layers. It's almost like he's battling with himself and the choices, right?
Totally.
Like,
which was like our core theme when we were talking about Batara the first time. Yeah.
Me and Nithir, how do we relate? I think it stems from like, when I was that age, I would like younger, I guess. I was just the awkward one, just trying to fit in, but I didn't really know how everyone else navigated through things. So just kind of falling back on that. Just pretend that you have it together, but really you're awkward and you feel like you're throwing everyone off. And yeah, so kind of feeling a little alien, but finding that place of, oh, like maybe I'm not that weird and that maybe I can fit, or at least find a way to use my talents or like my skills to help everyone else in that situation. So that's part of it. And then maybe like the whole being voluntold thing, before I entered the film industry and my animation program, I went through the whole like, hey, find the safe route first. And it didn't really work out. And I was like, well, if the safe route doesn't work out, what's left, right? Like it didn't pan out. So kind of finding my way through that too was kind of just going against the grain. And I think that's how I relate to Aether a little bit.
I can add to be like what Robinson thinks of Aether, or the thing that's kind of going through his mind right now, I guess, being like tasked to take care of Aether, is that I think he wants Aether to realize that his value isn't from the things that he does, but being Aether. Like the value is just about who he is.
Who he is, yeah.
It's a very good contrast to like real life. Like the oldest, the idea of oldest immigrant kid has a certain responsibility, and then the youngest kid would be like, I'm in art.
That's literally my family.
And it's something that I've had a conversation with my sister before, because my sister's like, oh, like this is a responsibility that I have been given. You focus on like your art and going into the direction you want to go in. And so, yeah, like it's a very good contrast.
It's also probably because I'm the eldest as well. So like some of that's bleeding into Robinson. Whereas if he was actually the bunso, he's probably just chasing chickens and eating them all day. Like that's.
Yeah.
How about you, Teach?
The funny part of me wants to say I'm just always hangry. Like I have a penchant for snacking at all times, which is sometimes a challenging thing for recording a podcast, because like in between breaks, I'm always stuffing my cheeks with something and I'm like, oh, where's the water? You just sound like I wasn't just eating pizza. But honestly, I think, like Hiraya does represent like that sometimes the struggle between introversion and extroversion, kind of like what you touched upon, Kevin. Like there are times that you're like, oh, I feel like a little bit more like I gotta keep to myself for the scenario or the setting, but at the end of the day, your goofy, wacky, eccentric self will always show up. And I think to me that's like Haraya's Aswang side. It's like, that's that instinct that'll always show up, and sometimes that's really what you want to lean into. Yeah.
I'll give a couple of thoughts on the NPCs and then we'll wrap up. But I think it's hard to like think about how I relate, just because there's already so many to keep track of. There's just like too many to think of, and I'm sure there are many more that that we're gonna face or meet. I think the ones that I can see a lot of myself in is the Raha Humabon and by Bailan Sahisa. Like Raha's job is just to keep it all in order, and he's tired, and everyone's like fighting. And he just wants to like read books and play Pokemon cards. Like that's I can just because in like the Sina Una book, it talks about how Raha Humabon doesn't make a lot of public appearances. He's often just studying and kind of learning more about the land and history He's very kind of hermited away.
And playing Pokemon as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's just like organizing his secret rares and illustrated rares. Should it be by Pokemon number or by like set number?
Shadowless.
He's just like eager to just get it over with, but he understands the brevity of the situation, which is kind of how I feel about the podcast. Like I want to do really well, but I'm also terrified of not doing well and being wrong. And that's where like Bye Bye Sahisa comes in, where she has so much training and she's this like spiritual core of this island. But it just feels like she keeps making mistakes in the last little bit. And the way that she tried to make up for it was sacrificing herself. And that's like not cool. And I just thought, oh yeah, I can just relate with the two of them. Also really like Robinson, because I tap into that Mickee energy where it's just like, okay, well, what can Robinson do at this age? But like kind of changes the energy a little bit and is a bit of a contrast. Don't know how to end this, but I think we'll call it here. Thank you for joining in. I've gone into my calm podcast ASMR voice because it's getting late in the day.
Welcome to Blades.
Yeah. But really, I think the thing that we want to, I can comfortably speak for the cast and crew. First, I guess before we wrap up, we do have a secret hidden crew member, Joe Robinson, being our producer.
Hi,
Joe.
Yeah, it's just a motivation and an energy that kind of helped me get to where we are today, and we just literally wouldn't be here without Joe quietly making comments in the back in the chat window. And yeah, the Robinson was named after a mall in the Philippines, but it just so happens to also be Joe's last name, which is very fun.
I learned something new today.
Other than Joe, we wouldn't be here without you, listener. We're just like a small little podcast. None of us have done this before. It was an idea. I'm struggling to get it edited and even out. But when it is out and you are listening, we're here because of you. Because you're interested in pre-colonial Filipino mythology, because you're interested in fake core, you're interested in something else that's not Dungeons and Dragons, or you just are family or friends, or you just gave us a shot. Thank you for giving us a shot. Hopefully we continue to bring you something that's interesting and entertaining. Hopefully we brought a little bit of light to Filipino culture and Filipino mythology that inspires you to dive in a little bit deeper, or to learn more about the Philippines, or to connect with your Filipino friends or coworkers, or even within yourself. But really, we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. Salamat. We're very, very grateful for you. And hopefully we can do more. And yeah, we still have to explore this damn island. So there's lots to do still. Yeah. Under here, this will come out again during the holiday season. So happy holidays to you and yours. Know that we're thinking of you. Your ancestors you're living the dream that your ancestors had for you. So take that in as you journey into the holiday season, into the next year. Things are tough, but there's always community. There's always family. There's always a horizon. That's it.
Happy holidays!
Thank you.
Salamat.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
Take care.
Bye,
Enjoy.
pamilya.
Ingat.
Bye bye.
Eat all the
Bye-bye.
food.
Yeah.